The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel and podcast. And we are here, another match reaction. This time, it's getting quite familiar. This is going to be a downbeat one. We've had a couple of decent ones this season, but we are here. I am your host today, Chris, joined by Joe and Nickel today. Boys, just when you think we're going to get a bit of momentum, a bit of I'm not even going to say results, performances where you're going to have two back-to-back decent performances, and Newcastle United, in typical fashion this season, become the most inconsistent team you have ever known. I'm going to come to you, Joe. There's been a couple of changes going into that game. Eddie Howe decided to change Gordon and Tonali, bringing in Longstaff and Barnes into the starting 11, which I think a few of us were scratching our heads at, but thinking that both of them put in a shift against Liverpool, so it's not an injury, but it's probably just fatigue, really. But having said that, I think we're all still not overly confident, but thinking that, yes, Brentford had a great home record this season. We all knew that going into that. But after we put in such a great performance against Liverpool, you're thinking, right, lads, just continue that, and we can get something out of this. And it's just turned out to be another frustrating afternoon, Joe.
The reason why I was expecting us to put in a better performance, and we spoke about this on the preview, was that Brentford like to play same as us on the front foot. They like to press. They like to win tackles in the final third. And it felt like it was going to be a bit of a basketball game from the start. It's what we predicted, and it's what happened. Unfortunately, it didn't go quite the way that we expected. We have really suffered so much from not taking our chances when they come, and this is just another example of that. Yeah, granted, defensively, this is where we fell short really today, but yeah, I'm not surprised in a way of how it's turned out, but again, like you say, it's not just inconsistencies in performances, inconsistencies in, at least when we aren't scoring many chances, typically our defense is solid, but then sometimes it can just go the other way around and our defense just completely capsizes, and that's what's happened. It was an absolutely crazy game, and I don't even know where to start dissecting it, really. It's a travesty, and it's a complete... it's completely a wrong look on what we've been so used to the last two seasons gone. I don't know what's happening. It's such a strange one.
It is. The reason I'm saying inconsistency on this one, Nickel, is because you'll get one fixture where your defense looks solid. Then you'll get your next fixture where your defense look quite ropey and your attacking players look good. And that's similar to how the first half panned out for us, where defensively we looked all over the place. We looked a complete mess, but we still look dangerous on the attack. But as soon as Brentford got the ball, you look like we're going to concede nearly every single time. And they look very dangerous. And we've got to look at the likes of I thought, I'm going to put it straight out there, I thought Hall once again had a decent game today. It wasn't exceptional, but he had a decent game. Couple of moments where it could be doing better. The same with Tino on the other side. But then you're relying on those players with experience and the likes of Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw, and they just look an absolute shambles as a partnership today.
Yeah, I think we really struggled defensively today. As you say, the attacking wise and sort of in the midfield and the overall control of the game in the first half was actually okay. It was just when they were breaking, we looked very vulnerable. And you mentioned Lewis Hall. He did have a good game, especially with some of the balls he was playing forward, and he linked up quite well with Harvey Barnes on that side. But for the first goal, and Mbeumo, he just sort of sidesteps him very easily. And then commentator was picking up that Hall was giving him a little bit too much space, even after the goal as well. So I don't know if he was backing off because he was a bit scared of getting beat. Yeah, I mean,
He's had a tough week as well, Hall. Let's remember,
Yeah.
he's had to go up against Salah, who's in top form, and Bemo is a great player as well. Somebody that I would love to have in this side as well. He's had tough back-to-back games, but he hasn't embarrassed himself in those moments. Yes, I think it was very harsh. The commentator saying he's given a bit of space because that tends to what you do as a wing back, especially when you're a wing back with speed. But I get what you're saying. It's too easy for him to cut inside.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good goal.
Did it take a deflection?
Yeah, it did take a deflection. Yeah,
I thought it did. Like, I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, he shouldn't have been allowed to get in that position in the first place, should he? Like, but he's a good player. So
yeah, but that first half felt like we were playing quite well, but then the 2 times that they went up the other end, they scored. And I mean, they were both quite good goals, but very easy from our point of view as well. Just to get.
I just want to throw it out there as well that we are recording this before we've seen anything after the game. So as soon as the full-time whistle's gone, we've jumped on here and give our reaction. So we're yet to see what Eddie Howe is going to say. But I'm guessing Eddie Howe is going to go down a similar route to what I'm going to say, and said that it did show some determination from the lads to come back into that game twice. Similar, obviously, just a flip of what happened in the Liverpool game the other day. And yes, it does show character to a certain degree. But having said that, I'm still leaving this and thinking, what are you? What is this team? Like, I'm left scratching my head and just having more questions rather than answers, which we've been asking for all season. And that's an annoying thing. And yes, I just want to highlight Isak. Isak at times, yes, he gets his goal, takes a well header there from a ball in from Murphy. But Isak sometimes he's going hunting for the ball a lot, and we're seeing him dropping into midfield. We're seeing him on the wings too much, and you're thinking there's moments in the game where the ball's coming into the box, and Isak is there taking short corners at times, and you're thinking, like, you need to be involved in the goal mouth here because you're probably our most dangerous players. But yes, it is a great finish. I'm a huge fan of Isak. I really am. I think he's going hunting for a bit Harry Kane-esque at times when everybody got frustrated when he's favoring him.
Yeah, I'd say he arguably needs a 10 just behind him to complement him, to play the short passes, to link up, play a bit more. He's such a skillful player, and we can see the kind of dribbling that he does, and when he has the ball at his feet, he's incredible. But how many times have we seen, not just this game, but in so many games this season, where he's been doubled or tripled up on, and he's basically ran into dead ends. And you just think to yourself, if you had another outlet in there to help you out, you could be so much more dangerous. But he's trying to do the work of 2 or 3 players sometimes, and it's infuriating. And I appreciate, the way that we play. You're almost looking at 3 number 8s, in the center of the park, and I it's not linking up, man. It's working. It's really not.
Yeah. It was like you said, Joe, like the lad said on the match preview. It turned out to be a game that we're expecting up until I would say later on in the second half, where it's just end to end, very similar to the Liverpool game. We're expecting this, Nickel, because this is how Brentford like to play football. I can't remember what game it was early in the season. It might be in the Leicester game. I might be wrong there, but Brentford up against Leicester, and there were a couple of goals down early on, and they still kept on playing attacking football at that time and thinking that we need to get at them. And that's what you're going to get from Brentford. I really like them as a football side. I like Thomas Frank as well as a manager. I think he's a great manager. And you knew that they were going to constantly come on back, and no matter how well we played, they were always going to come back out with. And that's just how it panned out. Obviously, the second goal goes in. Once again, it's just a mistake again. And it's like, I'm going to keep on using the word because I think it's the best word to use. It's just frustrating to watch as a football fan. And for fine well, Eddie Howe's probably doing exactly the same thing. I don't know how to fix this because I'm not saying put the banner on. I don't want Eddie Howe sacked at this moment in time, but he's got to have questions asked at him as well. He has to at this point because was it 0 wins and 5 now? And we're 12th in the league. Once again, we'll come up against a team like we did against Brighton, like we did against Everton, I think it was earlier in the season, where you're neck and neck in the league with them, and you think, right, get your 3 points here, lads. We don't. We'll go and lose that game. Exactly the same with Brentford today. Then I know everybody's saying the league's so tight. If you look at how many teams are at X amount of points, we're at 12th, man. We're dropping down the league.
Yeah, I think one thing that needs to be looked at is, as you say, when we're playing teams that are in and around us, we're not performing as well as we are against the so-called bigger teams.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, Wednesday night Liverpool came to St James's and we matched them. So we have got the team and the quality to do it. They're just not doing it against teams like West Ham, Palace, Brentford, all these teams that are in and around where we are at the moment, and we're just not delivering. But I think on the other hand, can Eddie Howe be blamed for Harvey Barnes giving that ball away in the middle of the park and then going and scoring at the other end?
Poor, so poor playing that ball across there.
The players have got to take the responsibility for it as well. I mean, Barnes does, get the equaliser back in the first half, but I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I don't know if he did get asked in his pre-match press conference about motivation for the games around teams that are similar to us, and he sort of batted it away, saying it's definitely not a motivation thing. All the players want to do well, which we know and we hope. But
be worried if not.
Yeah, something's just not clicking against the teams that are at the moment in and around us.
Having said that, after we scored the second, after Bonds recovers from the mistake that he made earlier, Joe, towards the end of towards the end of the first half, you kind of don't want the whistle to come, because we were looking dangerous that time and we had control of the game, and you're thinking, right, we need to grab one here, which we didn't do, unfortunately. Then the second half comes in, and I think when Brentford scored their third, we just looked an absolute shambles. Like, I don't think we looked like getting into the game after that. Eddie Howe makes some changes, and you think, right, they're decent changes, but the subs that come on don't make an impact at all. I thought Gordon was poor when he came on. Tonali couldn't get involved. I thought Bruno started performing worse. I'm saying worse. I thought he had a decent first half, but the second half, when Tonali came on, it just dropped. And Miggy came on. Miggy, once again, I'm just scratching my head with Miggy. You've got players there that should be able to make a change, and you're thinking, we sat, Joe, at before kickoff, and we're chatting in the WhatsApp group, everybody, and we're saying, this is a decent bench. Like, you're using the bench and nothing's changing.
It's in complete contrast to the start of the season, when it felt like every time you put Harvey Barnes on the pitch, he was scoring, and now, you're right. We put these players on, and you're expecting some kind of change in system, some kind of change in the way we play, and we're chasing shadows, and half the team doesn't look like they know what they actually need to do. Gordon, I fell for Gordon in a way, because he was definitely marked up the second he came on the pitch. He was trying a few things, but Brentford did defend really well. Again, Wilson coming on, trying to make himself look busy, but what was he really doing? This is the really worrying thing, is that it's fine when plan A doesn't work, but with the players that we have at our disposal, we can't even blame injuries anymore, man. Like, we're bringing on players that not long ago were starting for us, in the likes of, like Wilson and that, and it's just not happening. And that's the worrying thing. I'm not going to go full mark here, but we have not really strengthened the last two windows properly, and it's showing. It's showing massively. We have the players that played last year, and most of them from the year before, but teams evolve. Like, players, we haven't evolved the same style. We haven't evolved from the same style that we've played in the last 2 years, and teams have just figured us out. Arguably, we're even worse. So we need to change things up.
It does need
to go on a wider point.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's disagreeing that it needs investment.
No.
But I'm still sitting here and
just to clarify,
what's going to change right now, because we know very well January is going to come and go. And it's not going to be a great window. I don't think anybody's expecting
probably not
a great run.
Probably not. And to clarify, the players that we do have on the pitch and the players that we brought on should be doing better. We need to be finding a way to make them work. I'm not excusing that at all. And it is worrying. I mean, going back to the initial selection, I did say in the preview that I wouldn't be surprised if Longstaff came in just because of the rotation. And I will say Longstaff actually had a fairly decent game overall, especially in the first.
Smashing off the ball as well, yeah.
We are in the first couple of minutes, giving Brentford a taste of their own medicine with the early goals almost, but he did well, and so I don't think we kind of suffered for that. I thought Joe Linton was pretty much anonymous in a lot of that game, especially the first half. I appreciate he's on like 4 yellow cards, and he's probably thinking he doesn't want to get a ban. Fine, but he didn't seem to have too much effect on the match. Yeah, I don't really know where to go with it. It's strange. I mean, when Barnes got the equaliser just before halftime, you could tell he was desperate to make amends, and he did well.
Yeah.
And like you say, just going into halftime, we had momentum. We were creating chances. That's the thing. In the first half, we were creating more chances than Brentford. Brentford were dangerous on the counter. You know, Vissa and Buemo. I think what's it called, Thiago. I mean, they had a few really decent chances, but we seemed like we were going to be the ones to edge it, if anything, in the second half. And God, I mean, we just ran out of energy. Ran out of energy.
Obviously, they go on nickel and they get the fourth, and obviously we know it's game over at that point because it's dying moments there. But earlier on, you get moments where Nick Pope tries to dribble. It's like he's going on a little adventure with the ball, and like he's not good with the ball when he's stood still. So when he's moving with the ball at his feet, then obviously it's Mbemba that nicks it off him, isn't it? If I remember right.
Yeah.
Then Dan Burn clears off the line. You get that moment, you get a Dan Burn mistake where he's just you're just thinking it's just individual mistakes. And I know you can say that, and Brentford fans will probably be watching and saying, well, we made individual mistakes as well, which granted you the opportunities. It tends to happen in football, but not as blatantly obvious as what we're doing. Like you mentioned, likes of Barnes playing that ball across midfield and thank you very much. Turn, shoot, hours all day long. It's just, I'm getting lost for words here because
we had chances though. We had chances. Tonali over the bar. Murphy missed over the bar.
He should at least be hitting the target with that. At least hitting the target.
We weren't completely devoid of chances. Like we did have some.
Yeah. Can we just talk about the defending for the third though? Because that was
that was Joe Linton. That.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I think he did lose him, but Shaw missed the header, didn't he? And then the ball bounces, and then it's just an easy finish. It's just like it's just embarrassing defending that, to be honest. And then, as you say, when we were sort of, I'm going to say pushing, but I don't think we were pushing that hard for the equaliser. Pope goes on his adventure, and I don't know what he's doing. And then they just kill us with the fourth, don't they? So, and that's game over.
It's just the full-time whistle comes, and I've said this a few times this season. I think this is probably what we're going to get this season, where you're going to get a decent performance from Newcastle. Then you're going to go and get a result like that. And we're never going to be able to push on. Where I think by the end of the season, we're probably looking at mid-table and mid-table, despite obviously the struggles that we had with PSR. And yes, I know we haven't been able to build a squad, we haven't been able to push on, but we're not just looking at pushing on. We're looking at staying quite level to where we were last season. I think most would have been right. We haven't been able to spend in the summer. We'll just take where we finished last season. I'm fearful of that now. I honestly think that we're going to be pushing for that, and I think it's probably going to be around about 9th finish this season. And I think no matter which way you look at it, with the restrictions that we've got, you're expecting more from the lads that are available.
I'll go with a glass half full reply to that. I think a season is long. I know it's very long this season. Wimbledon feels like 2 seasons ago now, doesn't it? January needs to be a good window. January needs to be a very good window. I don't think it will. I'm not saying it will, but we need to bring in at least 1 or 2.
I think to have a good window in January, it means we're going to have to sell somebody that's already involved in the start.
And I know. We've seen that. We've struggled with that. We've tried to sell Miggy. We've tried to sell a couple of different players.
It might be like Miggy and Trippier, maybe.
Which is okay, which is fine if you get a bit of money and you can bring in like a right winger maybe and possibly a 10. Botman's coming back as well, which I don't think we can underestimate. And teams do ebb and flow. It doesn't take much to get a consistent run, but I'm not seeing anything that's convincing me that we are going to do that.
It bloody does.
It felt
I'm really watching it, and we're not getting.
I know, but like I know. Well. Okay, I mean, right, look at the 21-22 season. Yeah, we brought in a few additions. A lot of stuff did change at the club, but we went from relegation fodder to finishing the team. We literally were the 3rd best form in the table by the end of that season. So stuff can change quickly, especially with 1 or 2 new additions. But I think even ignoring any new additions, we need to find a way to make this team as it stands work. We're brought in Tonali, who is I would say is almost like a new signing, given that he barely played last season and he's integrating himself into the team. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard. It's just like you say. I'm just going to repeat it. It's frustrating as hell because we turn up against the big boys. We don't have a lot of possession against these teams, but we can't brilliantly. We come up against. I think the thing about this game is that we weren't playing against a low block side, which we've normally criticise a team for. We don't have that excuse. We've played against a team that's been on the front foot, open space, and we're now no longer able to put them away. Oh dear. It's not good, is it?
I think the quarterfinal is going to be very well. It's important now. It's
going to be similar to what we saw against Chelsea, isn't it? Where we get the defeat Chelsea, then we'll go and turn them over in the cup. We're probably going to see similar against Brentford.
Possibly.
Yeah. What is it? It's not this week coming up, the week after, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a week on Wednesday. Aye.
Yeah. It's. I think I did dip my toe into the cesspit that is social media at full time there, and obviously you know where this conversation's going to go. I mentioned it last week on the Monday show, and before people jump on me, as a host, I'm allowed to do this. I've got to lead the conversation a certain way. The voices are getting a bit louder in regards to Eddie Howe's time at the football club. I don't think anybody can deny that. I think that there's more and more people being vocal about it because it was quite a taboo subject before. People didn't want to see it. I think as this run of poor performances continues and the lack of wins continue, it's only going to get more and more prominent and in your face that these sort of, not rumors, but opinions from certain fans. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Everybody's allowed their opinion. But, Nicola, do you think this is the hardest time that Eddie's had at this football club?
Well, it is, yeah, because we've never had an inconsistent run like this as much. But I think, like I've just mentioned, I do think that cup quarter final is very big for him because I think
In what way? So
I think
big question mark.
I think we're so inconsistent in the league that we're not going to finish in Europe. So then, if he wins a cup or gets to a final, and then hopefully wins it, I think that saved him for at least the rest of the season.
I'd take 17th in a cup, like.
Yeah, I would be happy to finish mid-table and win the cup. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
we'll take it.
You're asking a lot there, though. You're all asking for
asking a lot, but
lot.
We're showing them all games we can do it. My opinion on the Eddie Howe situation. I mean, I'm a staunch Eddie Howe supporter. I absolutely love the man. I think that his approach to the game is fantastic. I do think that he has a lot to learn. This is comfortably the most difficult time that he's had as manager here. We've almost had an absolute beautifully plain sailing run up until, I would argue, the turn of the year, really. When we started having the really bad injuries and we couldn't field a full 11, really. But even then, we managed to grind out enough results to gain 7th. And then at the end of the season, we said, right, now's the time to push on. Now's the time to really kick on, get a good window under our belt and cement ourselves as a top 6, top 7 club.
Yeah.
It's not, and this is really, it's scary. No, it's scaring me, not just from a perspective of Eddie Howe. Not that I think that he will get sacked unless things get even worse. I think it would, honestly, at this season, it would probably take us getting into the bottom 5 for the ownership to consider sacking him this season, given how much behind the scenes we're still building the club up. We're bringing in new directors, and all the rest of it to help Eddie Howe. And I think the club are looking at going, well, we haven't given you really a structure this summer to give you the best possible situation for, succeeding and going into this new season. Yeah, I know they had money to spend on Gahey, but that whole thing was a bit of a saga. And we don't know what happened behind the scenes there. Yeah. So I think the club in that respect are quite lenient towards him compared to probably most managers in other clubs. My biggest worry is if we finish outside of Europe and we don't win a cup, or like Nicol said, get it in that respect. I think if we finish mid-table this season, I worry about keeping the likes of Isak, the likes of Bruno. I think Tonali will stay, but
I think we worry about that without a European spot at this moment in time, because I think
yes,
well,
but
not
it's a
necessarily
big
player
buffer though.
wanting. I think there's a fine line between, if we finish mid-table, I think that's when the player will possibly look at wanting to go. If we don't finish, then as a fans, we're already worried that we'll have to sell these players to get further as a football club. So I think
that's what I mean.
Yeah, you know what? In the summer, no matter what happens, I'm pretty confident we're probably going to lose one of our best players in the summer, which is frustrating. But I can say going down that route, we saw last summer that we're having to force to sell players. I don't think enough will change from now until the summer to resolve that issue. So I think that we might have to do it, and it's something as a fan base we're probably going to have to learn with and deal with for the foreseeable future. But I think now to even possibly keep them and stop them swaying personally and from their opinion, it needs to be European football, like you're saying.
That's what I mean.
Like 100%.
As a club, we're still growing, and because of PSR, we can't just dump a load of money into the club, as we all know. So inevitably, we are going to end up losing a big player, like you say. But having that European buffer can help convince them to stay, and not just that, but attract new prospects that are at the higher levels of European football. It's all about momentum as a club, and we're really sort of falling to our knees a little bit, compared to what we've seen. It's hard because we do have great players, and on our day, like we say, we can't beat anyone.
I don't think anybody's in disagreement with it. Yeah, we've got some fantastic players. It's just not working. It's just not working this season, and you know what happens when things don't work? It's normally the manager that goes.
Like I say, I just think that with us building the club from almost the ground up and us getting a structure in place, I do think that you'll have a lot more leniency than other clubs.
No,
whether that extends beyond this season, I think this season is probably the cut-off, though. Once the season's done, if we finish mid-table, there's no excuses now for what we want to achieve. We need to be really laying it on and going heavy, but they need to back them.
Yeah, that Nicola is Eddie Howe's obviously bargaining there, like, isn't it? That the fact that the club can turn around and say, well, performances aren't as good as what we expect and what we've previously seen, then his get out of that is just to easily turn around and say, well, you just didn't back me in the summer. You just couldn't give me any sort of players to move on, and we've just stagnated there, and the teams around us are building, and I think that's what we are seeing. I think you are seeing a lot of the performance. It probably is down to that, but when you're looking at individual games, once again, you can't not be frustrated at it.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a collective of all those things, and I think that I wouldn't particularly say it's anyone at the club's fault, because we're just in this situation where we can't shift some of the players that we had pre-takeover. I mean, we've still got a lot of those players on the books. So I think it's the summer coming where it's going to be the biggest overhaul of where most of them contracts are running out. I mean, we've still got Isaac Hayden on the books, and we're still starting Jacob Murphy, and he actually played all right today, to be fair to him. But if we want to be where we want to be, we're going to have to start getting those players out and bringing in new ones. And I think it's also that other clubs are probably a little bit further down that PSR line than we are as well, so they're able to buy some more talent. I think this summer's a big one, but I do think you'll get the summer as well. I think you'll get the summer window.
Yeah. Back to the immediate game, though, just real quick, you got to give Brentford a lot of credit.
Yeah, they played well.
There's a reason why they're unbeaten at home this season. They're really decent, and they've got some cracking players. I thought they looked dangerous, and I think they're surprising a lot of teams this season. So
that Mbuemo's a good right wing option, isn't he?
Get him in January, for the love of God.
He's a great player. I just want to end on looking at the Premier League table there, and just looking at the teams around us. As we record this, Man U are currently playing Forest. Are currently losing 1-0 to Forest. So obviously that can change by the time he's listening to this one. But Newcastle currently sit 12th on 20 points. You've got a few teams around us on similar points. You've got, you've got Spurs on 20 points. You've got Bournemouth on 21. There's a few of those, and you know what? People keep on saying, look up the table, but sometimes you have to look down and see what teams are below us as well. And you've got West Ham Well, you got Man United currently on 19, but like I said, that can change as well. Then you're looking at 14th, 15th, 16th. The lowest at 16th being Palace on 13 points, 7 points away from where it's very close, and I think that pack of teams, there's a bit of a gap starting to open now. Unlike last week, where there was a hell of a lot of teams just 1 win away from each other. That's slowly changing. Yes, we can get right back into that with another win. Of course, we can. Yeah. But it does worry when you drop into the bottom half of the table. It really
thing is, right? It's funny. I'd actually really be interested to see how many fans of other clubs have exactly the same conversation as we're having right now. I'd probably argue the majority of them are turning around and saying, "Oh, if we could just string 2 or 3 wins together and play like we did the other week, would actually be all right." But like you say, looking at the table now, it's still mad close. Like most, I mean, Liverpool aside, but
we could have finished this weekend 5th, I think, if everything went our way.
We could have as high as 5th. That's how mad it is.
Yeah.
But
now we're looking at it and saying Brentford are in that position.
Yeah.
But then next week we could quite easily be in that position if we can't beat Leicester. Like it's
crazy. You know what it is? I think a lot of people are like laughing the tits off at Man United this season. Oh, they're shite. They're right next to it. They're right next to it.
We're shite.
Like they're right. Like we can't take the piss out of Man United. Well, we can because obviously this huge thing. Of course we can. But we can't really like mock how they're doing the league when they're right next to it. They're touching distance away.
Well, that's the like I say, the fans of other clubs, they know the ins and outs of how they play and how they should be playing. We know how we should be playing, and we're not seeing it. So, no, Eddie Howe, I think it is the most testing part of his career here so far. I still think he will figure something out, but we need to see it sooner rather than later because we're all getting kind of sick of going into games with false hope. I mean, even then, I'm pretty sure before the game we were all saying, God, it's going to be one of them, innit? Yeah. I predicted a 3-2 win in the preview because I thought that it would come out on top as a basketball game. How wrong was that? Well, a little bit right, half right.
So just to quickly go through your upcoming games, we've got Leicester at the weekend.
Home or away?
Home.
Away.
Home, sorry. Home, isn't
it? Sorry. Home.
Yeah, we've got Leicester, then we've got the Cup game, then we've got Ipswich away after that. We shouldn't do this. But,
oh, no.
But you're looking at games and you're thinking, right, you need performances, you need results, right? I think it's very worrying if Leicester come to town and we lose that game. Very, very worrying.
Yeah.
Well, they've just got a new manager.
Don't look, you're giving them excuses already. Pack it in. I just do you know what it is? I think yes, we haven't focused too much on the league because it's not really been back-to-back defeats, and you're still getting points. Okay, you're still getting something. I think when you're walking away from games with nothing in quick succession, that's when the league will start changing. Hence why we need to not lose. In fact, I think you're looking at that Leicester game. I think you need 3 points there. Like,
yeah, easy, man. Yeah. If you don't get 3 points against a newly promoted team at home, then there's something seriously worrying.
Yeah. So 3 points against Leicester. Through in the cup.
Lose against Ipswich.
No, and then I think we'll lose against Ipswich away. I think we'll get.
Oh, back it in. Then you got Villa after that. Man U after that. Spurs.
That's 9 points there. That's 9 points against Man United and Spurs, but we'll lose against Leicester and Ipswich.
We're back in Champions League box at that point. But yeah, we'll end it there. Like we've said, things can change. They can change very quickly. And obviously that this is an instant reaction at full time after a defeat there to Brentford, and it is frustrating. It really is. That you're hoping to get something. You're hoping to get some momentum. You're just hoping to leave that with a point. Really, that's all that we're asking for today. And we've just looked desperate at times throughout that, and especially the second half, we looked desperate. And the players that you're looking to come on and change things just didn't do it. And once again, that just makes you think, are we as good as what we thought we were at the start of the season? Because I thought we would have done really well. I really did thought we'd done well this season.
Pretty sure I said 4th or 5th.
Things can change, though.
I'm going to delete that video. Hang on, I'm just going to delete that video once we're done.
They can change. But yeah, thanks everybody. If you have been if you have been watching this one, like the video, it means a lot to us. Become a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber. Become a member if you want to do that. It is just $2.99 a month to do that. There is a link in the channel homepage as well. So just click on that. And we'll be back at some point. I feel really deflated after that, lads. Thanks, everybody. See you
Cheers
later.
all.